This is just a quick video to show you how to make these individual little bunnies. These bunnies use my Breakaway Crochet Method techniques, which means they use some floating rings to make the little circles. I'll leave links in the description if you would like more details on that, but I'll be going over that in this video as well. You may recognize these little bunnies from my previous video where I worked them continuously to make a trim. I'll put the link for that in the description as well for that pattern, but I thought maybe some of you would like to just make some one at a time, and the instructions are just a little bit slightly different. So these individual bunnies can be handed out if you practice random acts of crochet kindness. That's a movement happening on Facebook. Or maybe you can attach them on the end of a keychain, or maybe you just want to applique them individually onto something else. So the general method we will be using is to start here at the little bunny's rear end, starting this middle circle. So we will come in, do the first couple stitches, do the foot, come around, do the belly, pause for a minute, do that second foot, do the chest, and then we pause and come up here and do all the head and the ears. Then come back to the body and work around the back, do the tail, and then finish off. So we start with a floating double crochet. That means do a yarn over, and then another yarn over and pinch the thread close to the hook. Do another yarn over, pinch that together with the previous loop. So I'm pinching 2 loops near the hook. Now do a yarn over and pull through the 2 pinched loops, and that has made a floating ring. That replaces the chain 4 slip stitch center ring that normally would go in the middle of a little motif. And this is also where we're going to be working most of the stitches of the little bunny's motif. Since this is a floating double crochet, we need to do the double crochet part. So to do that, just pull through 2, pull through 2, and that is a floating double crochet. Let's continue now with another crochet in the floating ring. So go through those 2 loops we made in the beginning, pull through a loop, and finish the double crochet. Let's do the first foot with a chain 3 and 2 double crochets in the top of that last double crochet we've just done. So to do that, I like to go through that top thread there and the next one that's sitting just underneath, and that's where we work that double crochet into. Work another one in the same place, and now work a slip stitch in the same place. So that slip stitch kind of rounds off those stitches into a little foot shape. Now let's continue around and do the bunny's belly. I do 5 double crochets into a floating ring. Now let's do the second foot, which is the same as the first. So chain 3, 2 double crochets in those top 2 threads there, and a slip stitch in the same place. So there's the 2 feet and the belly. Let's continue now with the chest, which is 4 more double crochets. And now we're going to pause a little bit because it's time to do the head now. And again, the head starts with its own little, we've got to start another little circle to do the head. So to do that, we start this time with a floating single crochet, and that starts straight away with making a floating ring. So do a yarn around, pinch, yarn around, pinch, yarn around, go through the 2 pinched loops. That's made the floating ring. And to finish the single crochet, just pull through those 2 loops. So that there is a floating single crochet, and those 2 loops kind of can float around a little bit. That's okay. Continue ahead with another single crochet in the floating ring, and now we're going to connect we're sort of going underneath the face. So I like to connect that to the body in that 2nd stitch here. So there's the 1st double crochet, here's the 2nd. Let's do a slip stitch in there just to connect the head up to the body a little bit better. So to do that, just dip your hook around, come through that stitch, pull everything to the left of the hook, and then pull through everything to make a slip stitch like that. Okay, now let's continue with the head, and this part we're on now is the snout. So do a half double crochet, a double crochet, and another half double crochet into that floating ring. So that's kind of made sort of the nose area, the mouth. Let's go up to the forehead by doing 2 single crochets. And now we start the ears. Start the next ear with another single crochet. Chain 4. Slip stitch into the 2nd chain from the hook, and I'm going into the top loop. That's fine. And let's do a single crochet in the next chain, another single crochet in the next chain, and finish off the ear with a slip stitch in the top of the single crochet we did on the head. And I'm doing that in the same way by grabbing those top 2 threads and slip stitching through there. So that's our 1st ear. The 2nd ear is exactly the same, starting again with the single crochet, 4 chains, slip stitch, 2 single crochets, and then a slip stitch into the single crochet that we started with. So that's where we are. The next step, and now we're pretty much finished with the head except for closing the gap. It looks much better if we kind of close that little circle, and we do that by finding this sort of gap in between the head and the body. Let's go in there, there's a little hole there, just go through there and do a slip stitch. And that's closed the head up. We're almost done. Let's finish the body now. Let's go along the back by doing 3 half double crochets. And now the kind of the rump area, that is 2 double crochets. And now the tail, which is basically a chain 3 picot. So chain 3 and slip stitch in the same way we've been doing in the top of that last double crochet we've done. Just in those top 2 threads. And again, we need to close off the body now, and we do that by I like to just go into where that first slip stitch is, or the slip knot, and do a slip stitch in there, and that's the whole thing done, except for finishing off the yarn. And also I like to put a little neck ribbon around, which I've just tied a spare bit of yarn around there in a little tiny bow. So there we have it, and I hope you give it a try. The full instructions I've put in the descriptions. I haven't published the pattern anywhere. I might later on, but for now you'll find all that information in the description, along with some other links that might interest you. So happy Easter. Let me know if you have any questions, and I hope to see you again soon.